I'd like to hear your evaluation of the situation now in the Palestinian territories, and in a sense, one could frame the question as, what exactly is Tony Blair going to do all day? I mean, who is the actor, the credible actor on that side now that Israel can deal with? Is it even meaningful to talk about a peace process right now?
The critical partner or element are the Palestinians themselves. None of us, no matter if it's Israel or the United States or even Arab countries, Tony Blair or whoever, can replace them in doing the right things and making the tough choices. What we've seen in the Palestinian Authority was a very negative development. We've seen a takeover by Hamas of a whole area, and this is again should be looked upon and understood in the context of the trends I was trying to mention that are regional. And the question is, what do you do with it? So we had three options. One is to do nothing, which is for Israelis not an option. To accept it and try to make a deal with Hamas, which we think would be probably a short tactical gain with a major strategic loss.
You mean if there was some sort of a truce? Hamas has floated this idea.
Hamas could be interested in temporary quiet in order to rebuild themselves, take over the entire Palestinian society, create a situation that there is no chance for peace, not in my lifetime, maybe not in my daughter's lifetime. Or the third option, which was to try to look at it as an opportunity, based on the fact that for the moment it seems that this served as a wake-up call for the more moderates amongst the Palestinians. President Abbas made some very important statements and took some very important steps, from dissolving the Hamas-led government to creating a terror-free government, to calling for the disarming of all militias, to calling in with his prime minister, or his prime minister did that, all the preachers in the mosques, to warn them against incitement. So there is an opportunity here that we are trying to aggressively, with all our hearts, work with, to try and see if we can help, while we're taking risks, for them to really move forward, first internally and then towards compromise and peace with Israel. This goes back to your question about Tony Blair. Tony Blair is going to deal with, which I think is the most important element that is missing now. There isn't law and order. There isn't a government that the people is trusting. Services are not being provided. And it's not only about me thinking. There's just been a public opinion survey that was done by Palestinians in the entire Palestinian society in the territories. And 56% of Palestinians were suggesting that the number one threat to the Palestinian society is lack of law and order and inner fighting. 21% said poverty. And only 12% said Israeli occupation. Now, this does not mean that we do not want to bring about, as soon as possible, an agreement. We want to bring it about, the two-state agreement, as soon as possible. But it can only be built if the Palestinian society feels that their government can provide them with the basic need of every individual. So we are going to do everything we can to help them. We are going to try to, all the time, make sure that Palestinians understand that we want to reach compromise and peace with them. Keep the horizon bright. Move as fast as possible to sitting with them and dealing with this compromise. But as I said at the beginning, Blair can and should help. America helps. Israel would do much, much, much to help. At the end of the day, it is their choice to make and their action to take.